Right.
or sound from games.
Mm-hmm. All right, they can hear me, though?
Yep, they can hear you.
All right, cool. All right, so this is just a standard rule set we're going to be doing here. Only difference being that our players are, I think they're allowed to select the music for this.
That's gonna help them. Who's gonna be playing?
Sohaib versus Patrick. Sohaib is on the bottom, I guess. And then Patrick is PdOnZ. Capital P, the O is a 0, capital Z. Yeah. Oh, Sohaib is not spelled correctly. It's Sohaib. All right, great.
It's good to go. Just
Yeah.
remember noise up the time.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're fine.
Okay. So we should be heading into team preview in one moment. Patrick got top 8 at the last AON event. I don't think it was top 4, but I remember he lost to Tommy, who went on to win the event. Don't know how Sohaib did at the last one. That was a fairly competitive event. A lot of the stronger regional players came out to it because it was right at the end of December. We were still hyped for the new format, even though the official events hadn't shifted over to it yet. It was actually like the second grassroots in that 1 month because we had Rutgers right at the beginning that Steven won. Now our metagame has developed a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the teams that have started to establish themselves as the dominant force in the format out of one or both of these players. Patrick used a lot of Charizard in the last Open Dex format in 2015, and obviously that's one of like the strongest Mega Pokemon in the format, so would not be shocked to see more of that out of him. Kang players aren't as lucky. If you like Kang in 2015, I only have bad news for you. Sohaib. What has Sohaib been using this format? Like last year, we saw that he top 8'd Hartford with. It was really similar to Sam's Worlds team. I don't remember what changes were made to it, but I don't think it was a mirror of it. There are a few sound issues getting fixed, I guess. We'll just have to wait for those. All right, we are going to be getting into things very quickly. We see that Sohaib has a team of Tapu Koko, Gothitelle, Landorus, Celesteela, Snorlax, and Metagross. Doesn't really look too much like anything we've seen before. And in one moment, we should be seeing what Patrick is using. Oh, that's actually PdOnZ's team on the bottom. Okay, so PdOnZ using a team of Tapu Koko, Gothitelle, Landorus, Celesteela, Snorlax, and Metagross, while Sohaib has Tapu Lele, Tyranitar, Charizard, Excadrill, Amoonguss, and Zapdos. I think he did use something similar at the last AON. Alright, so like I was saying, Patrick's team, so none of these are Pokemon that are uncommon in the format, but you generally don't see them paired together like this. I guess that's really similar to Alberto's Australia team, just Metagross over Charizard, which is a pretty drastic change. It's not one of those natural switches like, I don't know, a water type becoming a Tapu Fini or something. I can't see the team preview now. Thanks. Sohaib's team, a pretty interesting take on Sand, really. Like, could it be a Mega Tyranitar? It's combining two different archetypes. I know Charizard and Amoonguss Zapdos was something we saw a little bit at the start of January. Lele on Sand teams, that's not something we've seen. Like, dual weather, really. It's interesting. Both of these are pretty new as teams. What would I know talking about established archetypes? Without his own Charizard, Patrick doesn't have a way to control the weather. So I can see the Excadrill being a problem for him, but I think Celesteela and his Trick Room mode are good answers to that. So I'm not wasting any time getting up the weather with a Tyranitar Zapdos lead against Patrick's Landorus and Gothitelle. Right, the order of the Pokemon is Landorus Intimidate first, Zapdos Pressure, followed by Tyranitar Sandstream. That's really what you'd expect. But it means that Landorus doesn't have to be worried about anything like a really fast hit power ice from the Zapdos or Scarf Ice Punch or something from the Tyranitar. It is the Pokemon in control here. Ooh, Landorus going straight for a Superpower into the protecting Tyranitar. Zapdos does go for hit power ice onto Landorus. Not quite enough to knock out. Landorus hanging on about 20% as Gothitelle gets up a Trick Room. At this point, Landorus is going to be the slowest Pokemon on the field. But this probably isn't too bad for Gothitelle and its friends. Like, pretty likely there's a Snorlax or a Celesteela in the back, but I don't know if they're safe to come in yet. This Landorus under immense pressure from the Pokemon on the opposing side of the field. Gothitelle is even somewhat afraid of Crunch or potential Dark Z from Tyranitar. Though I'm not sure if either of those would be capable of knocking out in one hit since Landorus did intimidate the Tyranitar. Landorus could protect here. That wouldn't be bad, but it also wouldn't really gain Patrick any momentum. So I think the switch out is a wise play into Snorlax. Right. Ooh, Tyranitar going for its Mega Evolution. This is going to be putting out more damage than Patrick expected this turn. But at -1, it still isn't a huge threat. Gothitelle protecting, knowing that it doesn't have too much to do this turn. Best option being maybe a Ice Shock to chip away the Zapdos. As Gothitelle does catch a double target from Sohaib's Pokemon. Turn went about as well as Patrick could have asked for, even after turn 1 went pretty poorly. I think Snorlax actually feeling pretty secure to just go for its setup here, like -1 Tyranitar, Zapdos. Together those might do 25% to it. And then Gothitelle could heal pulse it up the next turn as the Belly Drum engine gets going. I'm not sure what Gothitelle might want to do this turn. Could just chip away Zapdos with a Side Shock, or just switch out since it's not like Sohaib's Pokemon really need to be trapped in there. I think preserving it from a potential double up is a wise choice by Patrick. So as for Belly Drum, no surprises there. Going to lose 50% of its health to set its attack to the maximum. Tyranitar going for a crunch, knocking out the low health Landorus. Zapdos, T-Bolting the Snorlax for around 25%, not awful damage. Snorlax and Zapdos being chipped away by the sand. Who is going to come in here? Gothitelle. Potentially just going to heal pulse the Snorlax back up, even if it hasn't taken up too much damage. Having both of Sohaib's Pokemon trapped in with 2 turns of Trick Room left, this should enable Patrick to get at least 1 knockout. If he doesn't have high horsepower, though, the Tyranitar very cleanly walls these Pokemon. I'm not sure if even 2 returns will knock out Tyranitar because of how excellent its physical defense is. I have no doubts about Zapdos going down to a return, though. It might not even be able to protect itself. Ooh, not a return, but a frustration coming out for the Zapdos, going down in 1 clean hit. Gothitelle heal pulsing Snorlax back up from around 2/3 to full. Tyranitar Dragon Dancing up. With only 1 turn of Trick Room left, it should be safe. Like, Patrick can't really do anything to knock it out this next turn. So in that case, high first turn Tyranitar probably would have been the better play. Moongus, not the Pokemon you want to see from your opponent's side when Trick Room is up. It might be a speed tie between the Snorlax and the Amoonguss, both known for being exactly the same base speed stat and both running their minimum speed number pretty often. Tyranitar might not even need to protect here, but it probably is the safest for it to do so. There's no terrain up to prevent the Spore from going off and putting something too bad. Patrick thinking long and hard about what he wants to do. Tyranitar is only a -1 attack because it's been intimidated twice instead of Dragon Dance once, so it's not actually that threatening yet. Gothitelle withdrawing for Tapu Koko. So unless that's a clear spawn for the Snorlax, it is going to be able to do its job and put out heavy damage this turn. Sohaib could also try double protect. Ooh, as Snorlax moves before Moongus, gets off frustration, knocking out in 1 hit. Tyranitar not opting to protect though. Gets off a second Dragon Dance, resetting its attack to neutral, and putting itself at +2 speed, way faster than anything Patrick has left. What is this last Pokemon on Sohaib's side going to be? Excadrill, but Sand is gone. Even though Sohaib is fighting the 2 versus 3 and the Snorlax is set up, I think his Pokemon, they just have the commanding position here. Excadrill, known for running Z moves, would be able to get rid of Snorlax after Tyranitar chips away at it with this. It might be close though. Tapu Koko going to be able to move. Here comes an Electric Z. Terrain is on the field. I think Tyranitar is going to be able to take one of these, but it'll do heavy, heavy damage. Easily put it in return range for the Snorlax if it's not running high horsepower. Excadrill firing back with its own Z move. Without a question, this would knock out the Tapu Koko, but the Lax, that's a more interesting target. Is Lax trained enough in physical defense to be able to take this Tectonic Rage? Let's find out. It will be close. Like, even if this knocks out, I am somewhat confident the Snorlax would have a chance to survive. Taking it back, recycling. Getting back above 50% HP. The game is beginning to shift in Patrick's favor, but when fighting a setup Tyranitar, you have to be careful you're not getting flinched by Rock Slide. Or the Tapu Koko could even be cleanly knocked out by this turn. Excadrill, known for running Iron Head, that would be another way to just prevent the Snorlax from attacking. This is going to be a close one. So I'm taking his time on this turn. Tyranitar just punching the Snorlax. Getting it low and, most importantly, lowering its defense. Tapu Koko dazzling leaving. Easy knockout on Tyranitar. Not much damage on Excadrill, and I'm sure Excadrill... Is it going for Earthquake here? Decides to Iron Head the Snorlax. Yeah, enough to knock out. An Earthquake there would have been devastating. Like, even though it risked the Tyranitar, his own Tyranitar being knocked out, because Tyranitar went down before Excadrill moved, Earthquake would have gotten the knockout off the Tapu Koko and Snorlax in one turn. Now Excadrill is fighting a 2v1 that I don't think it wants to be. Tapu Koko protecting. Let's find out if Gothel has any offensive options here. As the Protect catches the Drill Rod, meaning that there's almost certainly no Earthquake here. Excadrill taking the Psychic fairly well. No special defense drop, so it will be around a bit longer. But I think Gothitel's odds in a 1v1 between it and Excadrill are okay, if not great. Dazzling Beam single target are going to be doing decent damage. I think Excadrill can take 2 more Psychics before going down. Drill Run knocking out Tapu Koko, no surprise there. The critical hit. Not doing anything. Psychic. That might just be 1 more Psychic for the Excadrill to go down. It might have been better for PdOnZ to get up a Trick Room there so we wouldn't have to worry about Iron Head flinches in these coming turns. If Excadrill was a Swords Dance Earthquake set, I think it might have been able to clean up the game already. Rock Sliding instead of Iron Heading, interesting, but not finding a flinch. Maybe avoiding Iron Head because he thought it would proc the Gothitel's Berry? I'm not sure. I think 2 Iron Heads there probably would have been better, but with Gothel getting up the Trick Room, the game is looking good for PdOnZ. Is 1 Psychic going to be enough to knock Excadrill out? Not quite. 1 last chance to get a critical hit here. I don't even think that the Rock Slide can knock Gothel out. Doesn't look like that was enough to activate Berry if that is what Gothel was holding. Excadrill going for 1 Protect. Can it get 2 more to win the game? Both players starting to run a little bit low on time, but that's not quite a factor here. If X-Hit does get both of these Protects, he should win the game pretty securely with the Drill Run or Iron Head, but the odds of that are slim to none. No Protect that turn, as Psychic will lock up game 1 for Patrick. I think that game went probably just exactly how Patrick wanted it to. The turn 1 was kind of bad, but after that he was really able to control Trick Room with his Snorlax. Getting that what might have been a speed tie against the Amoonguss was lucky and probably game deciding, but maybe the Amoonguss was just going for Sport that turn. That would have been cancelled out by the Electric Terrain. What does Sohaib want to do differently here? I think getting that Amoonguss in on the field before Snorlax can get going would be good, but if there's a Gothitelle lead, you're not going to be able to position like that. He doesn't have any Pokemon of his own known for running U-turn or Volt Switch, so he can't maneuver around the same way that Patrick might be able to with a U-turn Landorus. And when your opponent is the one with the Gothitelle, you're the one who has to worry about switching. I wouldn't mind seeing the Charizard adjustment here, but I don't think it's the way to go. Like, is it even faster than Patrick's Landorus? Is it a Charizard X, maybe? It could be. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, the team, it doesn't look clearly like Charizard Y teams do. There's no Landorus instead of Excadrill. There's no Tapu Koko, so I could see it being a Charizard X that the Amoonguss is there to support. Maybe not a Dragon Dance set, because at that point you just have 2 Dragon Dance Megas. No Celesteela from Patrick is... I wouldn't say it's surprising, because it is scared out by Zapdos and Charizard, but it's so good against the rest of Sohaib's team. I think both these players do have the room to make adjustments here, and it's probably about as good for them as their game plans were the last time.
Stop bothering me. You want people to see my pretty
Patrick
face, huh?
deciding not to bring his Mega last game, probably a good call because of how scared it is of a Dragon Dance
wanted
program carrying Extra Drill and Sand.
You want to?
The fact that there's an even more threatening Charizard that
You don't
we
have
didn't
to
see.
right now.
No Steals last game from PdOnZ isn't too inviting to Sohaib's Charizard, but maybe you'd bring in calling an adjustment of Patrick, like, deciding to bring one of those Steals this time. We will see the leads here. Landers and Gothel again for Patrick. Sohaib leads off with Charizard and Amoonguss. Little about face from his previous lead. I think the Amoonguss lead is really smart, just making sure that you can try and put things to sleep before Patrick is able to get his Trick Room Sweet Mode up and going. What kind of Charizard is this? That is a huge question. Can it just outrun the Landers and get a knockout with Overheat? Is it an Assault? Okay, so based on the Zapdos Hidden Power Ice damage, we know that that's not an Assault Fist Landorus. They did way too much for an Assault Fist Landorus. So Charizard, if it is a Timid set, can easily outrun Landorus and knock it out with an Overheat, which is a pretty tempting thing for Sohaib to go for. He might not have Overheat, but if he does, there's just no switch-in for that on Patrick's side. Snorlax is kind of a switch-in, but if this is an Overheat coming to that slot, it would have done 80-ish% to Snorlax. Charizard going for a safer protect. Just takes a Psychic, should do around half. Spore time. That's a Snorlax slot going to bad. Charizard's free to start going for negative volt attacks, whether it is X or Y. Overheat probably doesn't threaten to knock out on either of these Pokemon, but something like Heat Wave into Overheat, that would probably be enough. Which knockout do you want to get at that point? It's probably worth switching Amoonguss out to get Regenerator health back, or just protecting it, as that is a Charizard Y. No X, maybe that would have been a little bit too funky to expect. One move is Zard going to go for. Gothel protecting. As Amoonguss does the same. There's going to be a Flamethrower into the Snorlax slot. Will this proc parry? Ooh, just out of range. Alright, if Charizard has Flamethrower, it's most likely to be a Tailwind set. You generally don't see it alongside Overheat or Heat Wave, so I wonder if that Flamethrower is a roll on Snorlax. If that one did just under half, could the next one do just over half and get the knockout without Snorlax ever eating its berry? Would Charizard rather Flamethrower the Gothel here? Snorlax is ready to wake up next turn if it gets the right sleep roll, something that Sohaib has to worry about. I think it might be high time for Amoonguss to switch out since it used its Protect last turn. It's easy pickings for Gothel if it decides to stay in. Ooh, Charizard does reveal the Overheat, hitting Snorlax, securing a knockout, but Amoonguss staying in. What's the plan here? Gothel going for Psychic. Will this knock out Amoonguss before it can move? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, what was I saying about Amoonguss switching out? Of course, it's a Gothel. I'm so used to seeing Cresselis or something that you are free to switch out against, but that's not the case here. Ooh, overheating the Snorlax, interesting, because now your Charizard is stuck in at -2 special attack. It might not be hard for Patrick's Landorus to come in and deal with it. But with Snorlax down, that is the end of Patrick's like really threatening Trick Room mode. Extra build pretty... With the likelihood of Landorus coming in, I don't really like the Extra build switch, especially. Like, your Charizard shouldn't be able to knock it out at this point. Your Extra Drill is at -1. Like, why not save the Drill for a bit later and put something else in to cover the obvious Landorus? Losing Snorlax without it ever eating the berry is unfortunate for PdOnZ, but I don't think he's feeling too bad about this game. Like, hasn't really lost momentum since maybe the first turn. The Gothel trapping in Amoonguss and Zard was just deceptively good. Even if Snorlax was going down, securing that knockout on Amoonguss, a huge deal. Landorus revealing that it's faster than Charizard, which goes for an overheat. Onto the Landorus. 75% even from a -2 overheat. That is the power of Charizard. As Heal Pulse gets most of that health back for Landorus. Really clever play by Patrick. Oh, if this is a faster Landorus, maybe even a Choice Scarf variant, that Extra Drill is definitely not going to be outrunning it. We saw the hit Z move, so Superpower wouldn't have to go through any Focus Sash before getting a knockout. I'm guessing that Patrick's team is probably very similar to Alberto's, in which case it would be a Choice Scarf Landorus. No surprises getting a one-hit knockout on the Extra Drill. Charizard at -4 at this point. What could it want to go for? Flamethrower onto the Landorus, maybe hoping for a last-ditch burn. This is still pretty decent damage at -4. But Landorus getting almost back up to full from that Gothvel's Heal Pulse. We've seen all Charizard's moves except for one. I just want to assume that last move is Solar Beam. Maybe not, since he does have a Moongus and a Zapdos. Could it be a Tailwind last? Yep. Landorus probably... I don't think it threatens a knockout on Tyranitar anymore because it is at -1 attack, but Tyranitar also can't Mega Evolve to make its defense as good as it wants to be. This is going to do heavy damage, but it is enough to secure a knockout. No critical hit necessary. At this point, Charizard is fighting a 1v3 that it just doesn't have any chance in. Alright, Flamethrower getting a critical hit on the Landorus, but I still don't think it's enough to matter. He would have needed that a turn earlier. Charizard would need to chain critical hits like mad to get away with the game at this point. I don't even think critical hit overheat would knock out Gothvel yet because of how known for its special defense is. Ooh, Metagross from the back for PdOnZ. Still, Charizard can't do this. Metagross and Gothvel do enough damage and take little enough. Only way Sohaib can do this is by getting a chain of critical hits. Metagross over Tapu Koko. I think I like that adjustment from PdOnZ, just calling out that he thinks he can be better about dealing with a Moongus before it becomes a problem this game. Obviously, the Amoonguss didn't end up being an issue. Maybe regretting sporing the Snorlax instead of the Gothitelle. Ironhead going to do around a third to Charizard. Put it below half as it goes for an overheat against the Metagross. Going right down to -6 as Metagross heals back up to near full. I'm not even sure if Charizard will be able to take the next Ironhead. It might be close, but I don't think it matters. Sand and the Gothitelle attack should secure the game. Alright, as that's a forfeit out of Sohaib, PdOnZ winning the first round 2-0.